Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching Today I Found Out, and in the video today, a successful failure, the invention of Coca-Cola. Just before we get started, I do want to say that this video is brought to you by The Great Courses Plus, an on-demand video learning service. It's got lectures from top Ivy League professors, as well as experts from other places like the Smithsonian, National Geographic, etc. It's like a university education, but at your own pace. There are no tests or schedules, and it's incredibly easy to access: PC, tablet, phone, etc. They've even recently added audio streaming so you can listen and learn on the move. You can get a free trial by going to thegreatcoursesplus.com/brainfood, and more about that a little later in the video. The sickly sweet sugar water known as Coca-Cola was initially marketed as a magical cure-all tonic for every kind of nervous affliction imaginable, from headaches to hysteria. And by the way, fun aside fact here, hysteria used to be treated in women through medically administered orgasms. This is something that ultimately led to the popularity of vibrators to help out the no doubt cramped-handed doctors who didn't have the stamina to keep up with the countless hysterical women who were banging on their doors. By the way, if you want to learn more about this, you can see our video Why Women Fainted So Much in the 19th Century, linked to below. Alright, so back to Coca-Cola. Of course, as with so many new ventures, when it first became available to the public on May the 8th, 1886, Coca-Cola was a bit of a flop. Indeed, in the first year it only sold an average of 9 glasses per day. This was despite the fact that it debuted at one of the most popular soda fountains in Atlanta, Georgia, located in Jacobs Pharmacy. For reference here, their gross earnings on soda sales, according to the owner of the pharmacy, Dr. Joseph Jacobs, was about $150 per day, or about $4,100 in today's money. Broken down, this accounts for about 45 cents per day in the first year. This is mildly surprising considering that not only is Coca-Cola reasonably tasty, but it was also, as mentioned, being marketed by the medical professionals involved as a cure for countless medical issues. This included a rather serious one: morphine addiction. On top of that, they also pitched it as something of a Viagra of the day. No doubt this effect on men is probably how it was going to cure hysteria. And if the marketing and the flavor didn't work out, their trump card was the fact that it contained coca leaf extract, also known as cocaine, as well as lime juice, which aids in the absorption of cocaine in the stomach for maximal bang for your buck on the drug element. Seemingly, this should have seen it become a huge hit rather quickly, although it is noteworthy that various cocaine products were widely available at the time, so perhaps people didn't have to come to Coca-Cola to get their fix. Whatever the case, as to how its inventor, pharmacist John Pemberton, came up with the tonic, he was specifically looking for a cure to his own morphine addiction. You see, Pemberton was a former Confederate soldier who nearly had his head lopped off in the Battle of Columbus. During the recovery from his wounds, as with so many others at the time, he became addicted to morphine and was looking for something to wean him off the habit. This all led him to experimenting with coca leaf extract, and thus Pemberton's French wine Coca was born, which he claimed did the trick. We should note here that when he died of stomach cancer 2 years later in 1888, he was still addicted to morphine. Unfortunately for him, his initial concoction also included alcohol from wine, which became banned in Atlanta, where he lived, in the same year that he debuted his tonic. This resulted in him substituting the wine with sugar and citric acid. He also, of course, mixed the whole thing with carbonated water, owing to, at the time, fizzy water being thought to be good for your health. Finally, in 1886, Pemberton was ready to start selling what would eventually become arguably the most famous non-water beverage brand on earth. After a deal was struck with Dr. Joseph Jacobs of the aforementioned Jacobs Pharmacy and the soda fountain operator within, Willis Venable, Coca-Cola finally graced the world with its presence, selling for 5 cents per serving, which is about $1.38 today. Poor sales and a loan Venable had received from Jacobs to build a house ultimately saw Venable trade his 1/3 stake to Jacobs in repayment of said cash advance. As for Jacobs, he had little interest in producing and marketing the drink and was generally annoyed with having to deal with Pemberton and his huge financial problems. Thus, not long after he acquired Venable's share, he sold his entire stake in Coca-Cola to fellow pharmacist Asa Candler for, to quote Jacobs, some stock in a glass factory on South Prior Street. This factory, on which the insurance had been allowed to lapse, was destroyed shortly afterward by fire. In addition to the stock, I was to receive some odds and ends such as bedpans, pewter syringes, wooden pillboxes, and empty bottles. Candler, after buying out the remaining shares, including from Pemberton, would start the process that turned the brand into the beverage powerhouse that it is today. In 1919, he sold the brand and the recipe for $25 million, which is about $361 million today, to a group of investors. As for Pemberton, when he sold his stake to Candler, he did have a thought to leave a partial share to his son. The idea here was that hopefully his drink would one day hit it big. However, ultimately Charles and Dee opted to just take as much money as they could get at the time and forego any further stake in Coca-Cola. Pemberton died shortly thereafter in poverty, and his son Charles followed him about 6 years later, ironically dying of a morphine overdose. So you might not be facing the same sort of investment decisions that Pemberton and Son were facing, but investing is still something that it's important to know about in your life, particularly for securing your financial future. And you can learn from history's greatest traders on the Great Courses Plus, who have a course called The Art of Investing, which highlights historical lessons from these traders. There are also great courses on basic money management, as well as educational programs on how the stock market works. Or, you could learn about the ancient civilizations of North America because the Great Courses Plus has range. I've really enjoyed their historical content particularly. They've got some great stuff on there, both ancient and modern. It's all top-notch stuff taught by some of the best educators in the world. Basically, as I said at the beginning, it's a university education, but it's at your own pace. There are no tests, no schedules, and it's easy to access whether you're on your tablet or your computer or wherever. They've also recently added that audio I mentioned at the beginning, so you can listen and learn on the move, and there are 10,000 lectures to choose from. So yeah, it's all great stuff, and you can try it for free. That's the best way to see if it's for you. You can get your free trial at thegreatcoursesplus.com/brainfood, or click the link in the description below. That also helps support the show, so that's a plus, and let's get into some bonus facts. The name Coca-Cola was suggested by Pemberton's bookkeeper, Frank Robinson, stemming from two of the key ingredients, extracts from the cocoa leaf and cola nut. Robinson was also the first one to pen the now classic cursive Coca-Cola logo. And now for another bonus fact. To fully replicate Coca-Cola, in the United States at least, you'd need something only one company has legal access to: unprocessed cocoa leaves. Currently, only Stepan Company can import these leaves into the United States. They then process the leaves and sell the cocaine-free extract to Coca-Cola and the cocaine to a pharmaceutical company. Thus, to make your own Coca-Cola, you'd need to convince Stepan Co. to branch out and sell to your company too. This is probably a tall order, considering that Coca-Cola would probably lean fairly heavily on them not to. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks again to the Great Courses Plus for the sponsorship. Please do subscribe if you like it, and do click that like button if you did. And as always, thank you for watching.